The following 4 Aces production is for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is highly advised.
Yo, what's up? I am K Double. This here is Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
And we are the Cheap Pop Podcast. We are here to talk to you about everything from wrestling to video games to movies to TV shows. So just sit back and enjoy the next hour and a half of your life as you listen to us ramble on about everything pop culture. All right, so let's open up with some news that I knew that Disney and Sony had resolved their issues. According to some information given to me by Alpha, it looks like Spiderman is confirmed for 3 more movies. What's up, bro?
That's all I've heard absolutely for sure, that Spider-Man is back into the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And that I also heard the little tidbit that he's going to be confirmed for the Venom movie as well.
Okay.
Maybe playing as not as a bigger role, but either way, he's confirmed to be able to show up there.
Okay.
But at very least, I've heard that he's back for at very least 3 movies. I'm unsure with how they'll do that, and I heard the next Spider-Man movie, like the next Spider-Man exclusive movie, is going to take place in 2021.
Right.
But right now, that is all I know. But for sure, he's back.
That is awesome. Mommy and Daddy worked it out so that we can all still stay in the same house. Oh, man. Look, bottom line is Disney knew and Sony knew you're blowing an opportunity at billions of dollars here if you botch this. So let's not botch this and let's figure it out. So what I've heard is the details that I guess it's a 75-25 split in favor of Sony, and Disney's now going to take on some of the production cost for the Spider-Man movies. So this should be good. This should be good.
Like we said, like even at 25%, that is still 25% of a fucking billion.
Yeah, $1 billion.
Even with that, you're still going to be walking away with a lot of money.
No shit.
You can say whatever you want, but Spider-Man especially, I would consider to be the head point of the Marvel Universe as a whole.
Right.
Maybe not now with like the MCU, but I'd say going back on the years, like as a kid, nobody got more attention than Spider-Man, and rightfully so, but still.
Spider-Man blew up right as we were at our peak of comic book fans, young comic book fans. So Spider-Man was very appealing, and it's still very appealing to young fans, kids. You know, he's appealing to adults as well because Tom Holland is just an awesome actor. But he specifically as a character has been interesting to children, like his entire existence. And I think that's been the thriving point for what made him so popular, is that he started out, you know, kids started loving him when they were 2, 3, 4 years old, and they still love him when they're 30, 40 years old. And now they're teaching their kids to love Spider-Man. And so, yeah, he transcends. So it's good that they worked it out.
Absolutely. Spider-Man as a standalone piece has his place in pop culture.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like comics and the Marvel scene does, but I feel like Spider-Man especially has his spot very well ingrained in pop culture. I know people who know nothing about the Marvel Universe, but they fucking adore Spider-Man, absolutely.
Well, here's what's funny, okay, is I've always said this. Spider-Man is probably one of the most relatable backstories. And I don't mean because his uncle dies or anything like that. He gets bit by a spider. He's not from another, or he's not, let's go through some of the other Marvel superheroes and their origin stories. You know, he's not a god. He's not a playboy billionaire. You know, he's just some kid who happened to get bit by a spider. And for a lot of people, that's a lot more relatable than some of the other backstories of some of these of some of the superheroes. You know, nobody's exactly working with gamma rays on a regular basis. You know, nor are they trained by some super secret organization. So Spider-Man, to me, that's part of the appeal of Spider-Man as a whole, is that Spider-Man has one of the most relatable like backstories out of everybody.
Exactly. It's just that Spider-Man as a whole is just unbelievably human.
Yes.
And it's funny because, you know, they play into that. You know, there's that scene in one of the newer Avengers comics that came out a few years ago, and he's still poor as shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you think of Spider-Man and you don't think of what? You don't think of Avengers Tower, you don't think of Wayne Manor, you don't think of Kal-El and the family of Superman.
Yeah.
You think of someone who lives in a crappy apartment in New York, probably with a mini fridge full of, like, an Arizona tea if you're lucky.
Yeah.
That's the idea. He's just unbelievably human, and that's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. And so it doesn't change him as it goes on. He is still that. Even in the 1960s when introduced, he was this poor, nerdy kid who actually was the strongest man in the room.
Yeah.
And that's still played into today, and that's what Spider-Man is all about. And that's the shit. And that's forever why I will always toss my fucking money at that shit.
Amen. Amen. All right, now something else I'm going to throw some of my time at. This is going to be a busy couple of weeks coming up here as all the CW shows all re-debut for their next season. Not Spider-Man, Batwoman will be a brand new show that will be coming out. For those of you who did watch last year's, I think in what I'm calling now the Forgotten episode, me and Alpha discussed what this most recent season or with the most recent crossover that they introduced Batwoman. They introduced I forget Kate Kane, and she is Batwoman. And basically, the way the storyline goes is that she is Bruce Wayne's cousin who comes to Gotham to take over the kind of Wayne Empire when Bruce disappears. So Batman is gone in this particular universe.
Oh, okay,
Now,
okay.
being that this universe is going to kind of work in conjunction with the Arrowverse, this now explains why we've never seen Batman in Arrowverse. You see what I'm saying? Like, to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now Batman is gone.
I'm just curious as to which time period, though.
Right.
Because if you've read the comics, you know that there were a lot of points at which somebody else was like the protector of Gotham.
As Batman was gone.
One of my favorite, one of my favorite stories was the one following Rebirth when Batman was in the Mobius chair, and the entire time behind the scenes, the entirety of the Bat family was fighting for the mantle of Batman. And you got to see Jason Todd have his own version of it, which was unbelievably badass. But I'm biased because the Red Hood is my number one.
Yeah.
But you know, you saw
him and
Dick Grayson battle for it.
Have you watched Titans?
I have not, but I've heard it is spectacular.
Oh, man. I haven't watched anything on season 2 yet. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I haven't watched anything on season 2 yet. But season 1 was pretty sick. Like, a friend of mine, the Saint, he let me use his DC Universe passcode to go on ahead and watch it. He recommended it that much. And, yeah, I tuned in, and wow. It was pretty impactful. Like I said, there's definitely some adult themes to it. Like it's kind of hard. Like it was kind of hard for me to get past watching Starfire and Dick Grayson. You know, go to bang bang. So it is one of those things where they take a very adult and grittier take to Titans than anything that's been put in at least on television, on screen before, not necessarily in the comics, because I know that some of the comics have gotten pretty dark. But yeah. But I only bring it up because Jason Todd actually shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the Have you seen the Under the Red Hood animated movie? Okay, cool. So I'm probably gonna let you borrow it then, because it's fucking great. It is wonderful. Jensen Ackles does a wonderful job as Jason Todd.
Nice. It's Dick Grayson. I can't think of the name of the actors, but Dick Grayson is Robin, who I think should, if they're going the way I think they're going in Titans, he should eventually become Nightwing.
Okay.
But Jason Todd shows up as the guy who replaced him as Robin. Like
that is canonically how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but good. I'll let you watch it. It was pretty damn good. Batwoman, I haven't heard really a lot about what the major storyline is going to be, or even who the big baddie is going to be. They pretty much kept that pretty hush hush. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it. It's on my DVR. It will be recorded, just like all the rest of the CW shows. But it starts this Sunday, so tune in, y'all. Tune in.
There is one thing, though. I just hate one thing. I mean, actually, two things. I know a lot of people hear the name Batwoman and they think, like, Batman's girlfriend. Like, first off, no.
No.
The whole thing behind Katie Kane is that she's an angry lesbian. Let me fix that.
Good way to put it.
She's a very angry, very dangerous lesbian, not Batman's girlfriend.
With
Don't
a
make
bunch
that
of
up.
Yes, yeah, no shit. But then again, though, like a lot of people didn't understand that Batgirl was more like a daughter to Bruce Wayne than a girlfriend. Everybody's like, "Oh, that is no." Bruce's only girlfriend is Vicky Vale. No,
don't you dare! Don't you dare say that in my presence. Man, after I'm playing Arkham Knight right now currently, and they're all like reminiscing in the death of Talia al Ghul and like how heartfelt it was to Bruce Wayne. It's like, stop! I don't need this.
Do not humanize the enemy.
Heartbroken again. Don't humanize the assassin.
No shit. But all right. So on that
but,
same
one
night,
other thing though.
What's up?
One other thing though. One last thing. On Titans, I know there was a big controversy because in that show, Starfire is played by a black woman.
Yes.
First off, Starfire is not black, and she's not white either. Starfire is fucking orange.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, yeah, like you're talking about a character that can literally be portrayed. See, okay, and here's where let's dig into this real quick. I've seen that this has been happening a lot because don't get me wrong, there has been instances of what's called whitewashing, which is
general. I'm not condoning that. That is around.
Right. And so, but here's the thing about it. I think certain things we've taken it a little too far. Like, it's like, look, man, like, if you're talking about an alien creature from another planet, if they choose to portray it as a black dude, and in the comics it was a white woman, who cares? You're talking about an alien. It can literally look and be like anything. You're talking about or have you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. the scene when Ben Affleck is talking to Jay and Silent Bob, and they're like, "We got to go get them because they're smearing our name," and he's like, "Fictional characters. They are fictional characters. It's not really you." That's how I feel like looking at people when they have an issue with a character like Starfire being a black woman instead of whatever race they felt she should be. In fictional characters.
Not only is it not that serious, it's completely up to interpretation.
Thank you.
The only time I have a big issue with it is if it's impeding on the character.
Right.
My issue with characters like Domino and Deadpool 2, my issue was with the fact that she was portrayed who she was portrayed by was because that Domino as a character, her whole name being named Domino, was because she had ghastly pale skin.
Got you.
That to me, that's like getting Black Panther, someone who is African, someone who is basically forever to be portrayed as a black man because that is the character.
Right.
Culturally speaking, that would be like making him be portrayed by a white man.
Right.
Like it's not the idea that it's just a change in race or I don't like the race. It's the idea that you're impeding on the source material. And at that point, it's like, are you even truly? Is it even truly the character anymore? At that point, in my opinion.
Right. No, and that's exactly where we lie in agreement. Is it's like if you're talking about a character that can literally be portrayed as anything, like we were just talking about Starfire, etc., change whatever you need to change about the character. Do whatever you need to do. I'm either gonna like it or not like it. Like I said, I prefer Jason Momoa as Aquaman than some blonde-haired white dude with muscles. Like, I don't know why. Like,
Absolutely.
but Jason Momoa makes the character. A prime example of this. Nick Cage. Or Nick Fury. The character Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, yes.
For 40 some odd years, Nick Fury was a white dude with gray hair and a patch over his eye.
By the way, I actually found a story behind that.
Yes. Go ahead.
That like why he's portrayed as a black man.
Yeah.
That Nick Fury, the Sam Jackson version that we know, that is the adopted son of the Nick Fury that like we grew up with.
That's awesome.
So essentially speaking, that is Nick Fury Jr.
Nick Fury Jr. Nice. Okay. So let's dig in. So let me go ahead and finish telling my story because that actually complements it perfectly. Because basically, what? Wait a minute. Did I miss something? I didn't see any Jack. Did I not get the last half hour? Yeah, I didn't get the last half hour. My shit cut off after the Dean Ambrose match.
Horrible.
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah. So, the part of the reason why they had to come up with this new character and create this Nick Fury that looked more similar to Sam Jackson was because of his popularity after showing his face as Nick Fury in the first Iron Man movie in the post credits. Like, there was literally an overswelling of support for like, this is what Nick Fury should be or should have been. It's just because people love Sam Jackson. It doesn't matter what the hell the man does. I don't know if it was you that I was speaking to. No, I think it was one of the guys. Yes, it was one of the guys at my school. I was speaking of Sam Jackson. It's just a slight side thing. Have you ever seen the movie The Hitman's Bodyguard?
Someone with Ryan Reynolds, right?
Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson.
Yes, the one where he's like, this man ruined the word motherfucker.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That is, I was just talking to a dude about that the other day. I'm like, that was my scene because you can kind of tell, like, Ryan Reynolds is definitely huge with the fourth wall breaks. And sometimes he does it verbally, and sometimes he does it by, like he does in Deadpool, where he actually, like, looks at the screen, etc.
Like, sometimes it's subtle like that, other times it's in your face. Deadpool
Right. And I'm thinking, like, for me, that was a fourth wall break in him talking about Sam Jackson. Like, he's like, when he's saying, like, he ruined the word motherfucker, like, he's no longer talking about the character in that moment to me. Like, now he's actually talking about Sam Jackson. Like, and he's aware of that. Like, that's why you kind of see him. He doesn't really look directly into the camera, but he kind of, like, looks at it like, yeah, this motherfucker ruined the word motherfucker. Do you know how hard that is to do? But yeah, I always
I'm not tired of it, though. I'm still not tired.
Oh, no, not even close, man. But I can hear motherfucker 100 million more times from Sam Jackson. But all right, but yeah, so what were we talking about? We were talking about Batwoman. Supergirl debuts. It looks like it's going to be another great season. I truly hope, because at the end of this last season, the Monitor came and saved Lex Luthor's life and was like, you are needed. And so I'm assuming that Lex Luthor is going to be a part of Crisis, and hopefully they will continue to bring back John Cryer as Lex Luthor. Because if they do that, that would just be amazing.
Please. I've heard that they're going to bring him in as. I heard they're going to bring in the original Superman from like 10 years ago, the one that came out in like 2006.
Yeah, Brandon Roos.
And they're going to bring him back as an older Superman.
Well, it's an older, but it's like basically what it is like he's a Superman from a different Earth. is what it's
Yeah,
going to
it's the
end up
one where
being.
yeah, it's the one of the Elseworld stories,
Right.
which I'm completely fine with because that's where DC shines its most, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like when you look at the Elseworld stories, that's where you're going to get the best shit. Like
Oh,
Earth Two and The Blackest Night going into Earth Two are some of the best comics I've ever read,
really? Nice.
hands down. Earth Two is fucking spectacular. If there was one singular comic book series I could recommend to anyone, it is Earth Two.
Earth 2. See, now, if there was one I could recommend to anybody, it's a series called a What If series. Okay? It's a Marvel. Like, they did several of these. But this particular series, What If series, was what if Apocalypse had won in the battle with the X-Men instead of the X-Men? So it was the Age of Apocalypse, and it literally affected like 8 different Marvel titles. It affected like X-Men, X-Force, like a bunch of different other ones, right? And this is what I'm looking. This is why I'm looking forward to the What If show on Disney Plus, because I'm hoping at some point they come across and do the Age of Apocalypse What If. Because
Please.
let me tell you some of the highlights from it. It started out with it had like it affected X Factor, X Men. It created new comics like X Man. His story was unique because he was actually the son of Scott Summers and Jean Grey.
Right.
Right, and then Rogue had actually hooked up with Magneto. Simply because he was the only one who could touch her because he could put a magnetic field around his hand and she couldn't take his powers. Like it was a whole twisted world. But it was so beautiful the way they rewrote everything. Like I think Tony Stark dies. They kill off several of the top tier stars. This series really focused on developing like a lot of the extra characters,
That's always,
go ahead.
I've said it before, but like that's where X-Men always shines, bringing
Oh
in
yeah,
those little underground characters like that.
oh yeah. I would recommend if you like X-Men and a lot of those characters, I would recommend The Gifted. If you haven't been watching it, it comes on Fox. I believe they have been renewed for season 3.
Okay.
It's a movie that's loosely based in the X-Men universe, or I won't say loosely. It's supposed to be because they reference the X-Men several times in the show, like throughout the 2 seasons. But the main characters are Polaris. I forget what the name of the dude who shoots the lights out his hands is. And then they have a dude named Johnny Appleseed. Like he's like this
Yeah, you
Indian
talked
dude.
about this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, who's like a sick tracker and shit like that. Like but yeah, so like and they have Mordok is in there. You just gotta go watch it. But I recommend that. If you like X-Men and you like the X-Men universe, I would recommend The Gifted. So, all right. So speaking of movies that I recommend, K Double, for only the second time on this show, is going to put his official stamp on a movie, and that movie is the latest like Pixar. I think it's Pixar and DreamWorks, or it's DreamWorks and Disney. I know it wasn't Disney. I think it's Pixar. No, it wasn't Pixar either. It was just DreamWorks. Sorry. The most recent DreamWorks animation movie, Abominable. It's not tied to anything like reality wise, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not an old story or an old tale or anything like that. It's just a cute little story about a young Asian girl who finds a Yeti living on her roof, which is just hilarious, in the middle of the city. And there's a reason why the Yeti is there, but you go see the movie. And she has to take this Yeti back to Everest Like that's the whole premise of the movie. That's over without giving any spoilers away. But needless to say, it's a great movie. Kind of it sometimes sounds like it wants to be a musical, but none of the characters break out in the song, so it's not really a musical. But it is a really good movie with a really good message, and it's just a fun movie to watch. It has a lot of great moments in it, and I want to say it's like one of the better kids movies that has come out in the last decade or so. Like a lot of the recent kids movies have been remakes or sequels to older movies. This is kind of an original one that stands out on its own. So go see it. K double seal of approval. If you do go see it, I hope you enjoy it. But that's that. So you said you had some video game news for us, sir?
Absolutely. We don't really cover a lot of video game stuff here, and I thought I'd bring something in because we are a video game podcast as well. So I wanted to bring in a little something, and I thought it could relate as well.
For sure.
Not only that, but I would just like to remind everybody that we are unbelievably close to the Joker being out, and I'm pissing my pants in my seat. I'm so fucking ready for this movie.
Heck yeah. Me too. Me too.
But on to the game stuff. For those of you who have a PS4, if you don't, I recommend you get one because it is the prime console, the best in the generation as we speak, in my opinion. But for those of you who have PlayStation Plus, The Last of Us, one of the best games of the current generation, is free. 100%, zero cost. If you have PlayStation Plus, it's fully free.
Okay.
So I would recommend you go grab it. It's only, I'd say, a 10 out of 10 game. It is hands down one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, especially on the PlayStation. It looks better than a movie.
Nice.
And in terms of a story, it is hands down one of the most compelling things I've ever played or ever been exposed to, if we're talking movies, video games, anything.
Awesome.
It is a damn good story, and I don't think I've cried that hard while playing a video game in a long, long time.
Nice. Nice. So you heard it here. Alpha approved. Check it out.
Not only that, but I went back and I've grabbed Batman Arkham Knight again.
Okay.
I picked it back up again. I've been a huge fan of the Arkham series. I don't know if you've played them, but it's a really, really good game series. I believe
I played
it's on
the very first
both platforms all the way through.
I still have
Yeah,
the very first
Arkham
one for the
Asylum.
360. Yeah. And I think I played some of the second one, the one that had Catwoman in it.
Arkham Asylum, yes.
Yeah.
All three are really good games. In my opinion, once again, it's one of the best video game series ever presented, especially based off of a comic.
Right.
Arkham Knight, I would say, is one of the very few perfect games that exists.
Okay.
I say this as somebody who has been playing video games my entire life, who has played every genre: horror, racing, RPG, FPS. I have touched a little bit on everything, and I could confidently say this is one of the best games I've ever played.
Nice.
I'm currently playing it on the hardest mode, going for 100%, and it doesn't feel like an obligation even a little bit. You have them referencing the smallest characters, like Man-Bat, even down to like Calendar Man.
Wow.
They get really in-depth into the series. It's not as underground as Arkham Asylum was. Arkham Asylum presented characters that I hadn't even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a diehard Batman fan, this game is for you. And it is really fucking good.
Arkham Knight, huh?
Arkham Knight.
Okay.
It's on the newer platform. Last month it was actually free, and I should have presented it then. But
it's okay.
Yeah, wonderful live game. And as a Batman game, you get to play as a lot of people that are not Batman.
Okay, now that's appealing.
It's really good. You're gonna. I have every DLC, so I'm here playing as from Robin to Batgirl to Nightwing to the Red Hood to Catwoman to Harley Quinn, all in the same game.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you're also playing as Azrael, one of the most badass characters in any Batman lore ever. So, not only
Well,
that, but the game is fucking gorgeous. I'm playing it on a PS4 Pro on a HD TV, and I can count the sweat pores in Jim Gordon's face.
nice. Oh man, all right, yeah. Well, yeah, I got my new TV, so I gotta try to get out there and see what's the offer on the 4K on the 4K video game tip.
Mm-hmm.
So Madden looks pretty good,
And not
on
only
it,
that, but they
yeah.
have a lot of little in-depth costumes too.
Uh-huh.
So you're playing as Batman, but I'm currently playing with the suit from Batman Beyond,
Nice.
the cartoon from 13 years ago. I'm playing. I can play with that. I can play with Batman 3000 if I wanted, and I can even play as the Batman from the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
We need a Batman Beyond movie. Period.
If I get that, I was talking to my mom actually. We were talking about who we would cast as Batman Beyond.
Or as what was his name? Toby? What was the kid's name?
I think so.
Like it's Toby or Tommy or something like that.
I came to the conclusion that my Batman Beyond would be Channing.
Would be who?
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. That's interesting. Okay, so who would you cast as Old Man Batman or as Old Man Bruce?
Oh fuck you! You got me there.
Well, no, because I actually have a pretty good idea of who I would cast. Like, I think I would cast Keaton as Old Man Bruce.
That's not a bad idea.
But I would probably go. Now, see, okay, there you go. Now, I would rather see Robert Pattinson play him than play Bruce.
You're right. Actually, no, I'm taking that back. I agree with you there. There's the rumblings that he was going to be playing Batman.
Yes.
I'd rather him be playing Batman Beyond than a mainline Batman.
Exactly. Because it would make more sense to me. I don't know why, but to me he's a little bit too much of a baby face to play Bruce. Like Bruce needs a little bit of a hard edge to him, and I just don't see that in Patterson. But who knows? Hollywood never listens to us on anything, so.
Fucking exactly. There is one little small tidbit though that I did want to bring up during the show.
What's that?
A while ago we talked about how every Joker being a different person could fit into the idea that not only the multiverse theory but there's the idea that there are always multiple Jokers.
Yeah.
Or there are multiple versions of. A lot of people did not like the Jared Leto version. I, for one, I enjoyed it, but a lot of people didn't like it.
Yes.
But if you remember one thing about Jared Leto's Joker, his design, was he had this big J imprinted on the left side of his face.
Yes. You're talking about from Suicide Squad, right?
Yes, from Suicide Squad. And I heard this theory that I thought I'd present because I thought you might like it.
Okay.
As we all know, Jason Todd died via immense torture and brutal death Joker. Right?
Right.
He beat him with a fucking crowbar and then blew him up.
Why blow him up? Anyway.
Sometimes you just gotta really make sure.
Yeah.
you gotta really fucking make sure he's dead.
It's like the Zombieland double tap, right?
That's quad tap.
Quad tap, huh?
Penta tap.
But right.
One of the things the Joker did to Jason Todd before killing him was that he branded him in the side of his face with a massive J.
Huh.
So there's this theory that Jared Leto's version of the Joker is so outlandish and so different from the rest is because he's just Jason Todd.
That actually would be one of the biggest and most interesting twists that they would pull off. That Jason Todd didn't actually die from that beating. He just went crazy and became a version of the Joker himself. That's savage.
Exactly. It plays into the idea because if you don't know, Jason Todd becomes the Red Hood.
Yeah.
And do you know why he's called the Red Hood? because the day the Joker became the Joker, he was forced to rob a bank under the Red Hood gang.
Okay.
So Jason Todd, having been killed by the Joker, came back as the Red Hood. The one and
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I think that storyline works too. But him coming back as another version of the Joker kind of reeks of awesomeness. Somebody needs to write that storyline.
Exactly. I like that idea a lot. I heard that and I was like, I need to present that because everybody knows I am a massive Jason Todd mark, and that is one way to further the idea that the DC Universe writers might have a semblance of what they're doing.
Man, look, there are 90-something Earths in their multiverse. I'm pretty sure they can figure out one where Jason Todd becomes the Joker.
Exactly. Like it's not that nonsensical.
Exactly. So if we can find
Go
ahead.
Like we're talking about the universe where there's a villain named the Condiment King.
Yes.
If you're gonna put that in my face, I can have Jason Todd as Joker.
Oh man. Well, you've seen dang it. What was it that I was saying? Oh, you've seen the season 2 crossover event where they go to Earth like 90 something.
Yeah.
And it's just a world where the Nazis won. Like, come on, y'all. If y'all can sell me that, y'all can give me a world where Jason Todd got blew up and became the Joker. Like, it's not that hard.
Exactly.
If y'all can give me an Earth full of Nazis, y'all can give me the rest.
You can give me that. If you can give me the Red Sun world, or you can give me, if you can give me Earth 38, I memorized this for a reason. Yes. Earth 38 is the world where everybody is a fucking pirate. I am not joking. Or like Batman is like a swashbuckler and is in like black cape or some shit, and he's a pirate. If you can give me that and you could put funding into that, I can have Jason Todd as Joker.
And Robin is his first matey.
Exactly.
Oh
swashbuckler
man. Yeah, when they started talking about 90-something Earths, I was like, wow. Well, as we close this out, let me just say this. I'm watching the Seahawks Rams game right now, and they just showed on Fox, and they just showed some sneak peeks at the SmackDown set for Friday night, and it's looking good. It's looking good. That new Raw set was looking good too, but we'll get to more of that when we come back from break. Y'all are listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 486 Presents Radio Network, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, wherever you find your local podcast. Get with us. Peace.
So, what's up? Steve Fingerstyles here, the host of the podcast, spelled DA, of course. Tune in each and every week to hear what pisses me off, what angers me, what I make fun of, and of course, my crazy rants. I also have incompetent co-hosts, cool guests, and a silent producer that sucks. So what more do you need from a podcast? You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and the Pod Bros Network. Peace.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Having you listen to someone's dumb sports opinions, worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at theunspokensportspodcast.weebly.com.
Interruption in progress. Now hijacking into ANS 2.0 immersion rig, now simulating the Amazing Nerd Show. Featuring comics.
And Batman's like, you're safe here and everything, but the Joker all of a sudden pulls out a gun and shoots himself.
Movies.
People fight with lightsabers. What the hell do you want? I mean, in every one of these movies, there's a lightsaber battle.
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna rewatch it a million times.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, give me something more.
Wrestling.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, just a monster. Fans would be like, holy, what the hell's going on? What happened to Jericho?
Horror.
It starts off like any other like home invasion type of story, and then it just goes crazy.
And more.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And we are the Amazing Nerd Show.
Make sure to download us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
All right, we're back. All right. What is up, y'all? Thanks for listening to those commercials there. Got a couple promos there from Ghost of the Stratosphere, the podcast, the Underground Sports Show, and American Nerd Show. Amazing Nerd Show. So, all right. Let's get to this wrestling. So, I want to say, weirdest thing I've seen today, before we dive into this first subject, WWE Hell in a Cell is literally only 3 matches so far. I looked all over
I'm a bit worried
for a bigger match card and only found 3 matches on every listing of the match card. Now, maybe that's because maybe they're going to announce a couple more matches on SmackDown. And we're going to get like at least a 7-8 match card. But right now, we got 3 matches. We'll get to those matches a little bit later. Right now, the biggest news coming out of WWE outside of the hot start NXT got to the thing in the upcoming Friday Night SmackDown is that the one, the only Johnny Impact himself is back in the WWE, but on which brand is the only question that needs to be answered. John Morrison is back with the WWE.
I am ecstatic. I grew up in the time period when he really made his name for himself in the wrestling world, when he really started. I'm on the moon, dude. The man, Johnny Nitro, aka Johnny Mundo, aka Johnny Impact, aka John Morrison, fucking John Ennigan, any name you want to use. That man is fucking fire.
Yep.
Like, when I was a kid and when I first saw him do Starship Pain, like, I didn't think that shit was real. I thought I was tripping.
You're like, no way he can do that. Yes, he can.
And the dirt sheets with the Miz, that is some of the best shit in the earth. Like, the dirt sheets with the Miz, the little show he used to run online with the Miz, where they would just rip everybody a new one.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing like that time.
Though he was to me, he was part of the reason why the Miz kind of transitioned from being completely hated to somewhat liked. He kind of moved to the middle of the board for me before moving over to, you know what, I give him his respect and I kind of like him. But John Morrison helped move him over to the middle of the board, because when those two played off of each other, they were just straight hilarious. They were the fashion police,
exactly,
but done well. Like, I hate to say it like that, but they were like, huh?
To me, they were the angry fashion police. They were the fashion police with some fire.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can say what you want, but the shit that they would talk on people on their little diss track on Crime Time.
Oh man, yeah, I remember that.
And at the time, that was like yikes. Deep.
Oh man.
And people don't talk about it a lot, but they had a really good feud too.
Yeah.
When Miz turned and he finally went heel before he became Miz that we know, when he dropped the fedora and the shorts and suspenders hanging off him. He had a really good feud with him and John Morrison, and nobody expected The Miz to come out not as the Marty Jannetty in that tag team.
Yep. No shit. Like, I definitely expect him to be the Marty Jannetty. But let me say this. I'm going to say this before he steps foot in the WWE ring at all. WWE, please, 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 at some point put the WWE Championship on this man. I know he held the ECW Championship.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, you know, I know he held the ECW Championship at one point. But, like, this man deserves... And he was in a few WWE Championship matches. This man needs to hold that belt at some point during this run. He's over enough.
If I don't see that, then I want him holding the NXT title.
Yeah. If they're going to put him in NXT, yeah.
Optimally.
Sure. So look, like, but love seeing Johnny Impact back in the WWE ring. Hope to see him do great things. So you had a couple of a little bit of information about a couple of young lions and where they're headed and what they're doing.
Of course. But one little tidbit before we do that.
Yeah.
I would just like to recognize the fact that at the time of this recording, it is currently October 2nd, 2019.
Third.
October 3rd? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. October 3rd. As of 2 days ago, going forward, we're going to be having a wrestling show on TV, national broadcast, every day of the week.
Really? What's coming on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Monday to Sunday. We have, between that, we have WOW, we have MLW.
Oh, yeah.
We have a whole list of other promotions that just got TV deals set alongside AEW.
Nice.
To sum it up, there is now a shit ton of wrestling to watch.
Nice.
I just wanted to bring that up. Like, from now on, there is a lot of wrestling. There is a lot to keep up with.
Well, that means that...
If I'm honest, I'm happy with it. I would rather have too much wrestling than not enough.
Exactly, because the best will succeed, the rest will fail. Like, I know that sounds obvious, but it's pertinent.
Exactly, that's what it is. But going back to what I had presented for New Japan, we just finished with the Young Lion Cup. We got to see a lot of new faces pop up and do their thing. I've heard Carl Fredericks, the winner of it all, is going to be going to the LA dojo to train with Shibata as well. He had an underling spot with him the entire time I was played with. But I know for sure 2 young lions are going out on their excursions. Ren Narita, who had a strong showing, I'd say, during the entire Young Lion Cup, is going to be going to the LA dojo to train with the man, the myth, the legend, Katsuyori Shibata.
Okay.
And I can only hope he'll end up anything like him, because Shibata went out as he lived, as the hardest motherfucker in all of Japan. Mm-hmm. But not only that, but we have Shota Umino, someone who gained a lot of attention because he followed John Moxley all throughout his big run in the G1. He's going out on his excursion, and he's going to be going to the UK. I don't know where exactly, but I'm predicting he's going to go to Rev Pro, because they have a big working relationship with New Japan, and a lot of guys go back and forth. The Rev Pro Championship is often defended in New Japan shows and New Japan events, and vice versa.
Okay.
I believe that's where they grabbed Will Ospreay.
Nice.
But I'm happy, because anything relating to John Moxley is immediately my shit. So I'm hoping Shooter Umino will take on some of the aspects from that run and become the badass that John Moxley raised him to be.
Nice. You're like, yeah, brother.
I know for sure that those 2 have gone out on their excursions. I wonder when they'll come back, though, because excursions last fucking forever. Not only that, though, I should have presented this last week. I completely forgot. But for those of you who have been wrestling fans for a long time, you'll remember the time Jushin Thunder Liger ripped off his mask and he became Kishin Liger.
Really? I don't remember that.
We saw that again last week. For the first time in a very long time, in a match with Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki. They were having some type of hardcore match. And Jushin Thunder Liger, he just goes fucking Super Saiyan, rips off all his shit. And under it, he has the Kishin Liger face paint. The crowd goes fucking wild. he grabs a massive spike, and runs straight to the head of Minoru Suzuki. I marked out. I jumped on my feet like a goddamn child. I love to see one of the most prolific juniors of all time do what he does. Not only that, but fucking tap into his highs and go nuts. I'm hoping that they'll continue this thing with Minoru Suzuki, because whatever Minoru Suzuki does is often the most hard-hitting shit.
Sweet.
All right. There's my presentation.
There you go. There you go.
Always
bringing us that great New Japan stuff.
Did we hit the CM Punk mark?
Oh, not yet. Not yet. First, let's cover this. Let's cover this Ziggler Goldberg shoot fight that you heard about.
Oh yes, I actually saw the video about it. I watched it.
And how did it go for? Because I would assume it didn't go too well for Ziggler.
I only saw about 15, 20 seconds of it. But basically, it's Goldberg on one side and Ziggler on the other. There's about two people between them, keeping them apart, and there's one on each side of them holding each of them back. And Ziggler's just fucking screaming. He's like, "Do something, man! Do something!" Goldberg swings. They just start throwing hands, flailing.
Damn.
And video cuts off. And you can tell it's a shoot because there's a bunch of people around them, like, recording it on their phones. Like, this shit's really happening.
Nice. I'm going to have to look for that.
Yeah, go find it. It's a weird sight, to say the least.
Oh,
like, you're used to seeing Dolph, mad because he plays it on screen. The unsatisfied undercard talent is a gimmick. But seeing him legitimately, like, a vein popping out of his fucking temples while Goldberg goes to swing on him is one of the weirdest things I've ever fucking seen.
Ziggler is asking for it.
Yeah, it isn't what I expected. I think I've heard of Goldberg getting in fights before.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's an ex-football player, so I'm pretty sure he's ready to go.
Yeah, Goldberg is not someone I'd want to fight, though, so I commend Ziggler.
Nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not want to fight Goldberg. I'm good. Goldberg tried to fight me. You best believe I'm backing down and I'm going home.
Now, what were you just mentioning before we spoke of that? Or what were we going to mention right before we spoke of that?
Oh, CM Punk.
Yes.
For those of you who have not heard, I'm taking back. I'm eating my words. A while back ago, I talked about, CM Punk will never return. If you remember on the podcast that was before this, my friend K-Double's old podcast, one of the few episodes that I was on, one of the things I remember saying was that CM Punk will never, ever return to WWE, and you need to stop hoping for that. I am officially eating my words and saying I was fucking wrong.
Well, to an extent, you were wrong. Like, because he's not back, as far as in-ring competition. But he is back.
He's not back as that. He's not, like, signed yet, but with what he said, it's only a matter of time at this point.
Oh, from what I've read, it's pretty much a done deal. Like, he's going to be a part of the FS1 FS1 backstage, basically the 1 hour WWE centered show that's going to air on Fox Sports, which I can't wait to see. This basically, it's going to be Sports Center for wrestling, Sports Center for WWE wrestling.
Yes.
I love it. I hope they do recaps of all the shows. Like, I hope it's like a place where I can tune into that show on like a Thursday night and can get or not Thursday, but like a Saturday night and get a recap of everything that happened on Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, fucking
NXT, all that.
Yeah, NXT, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That would impress me.
But going into it, the man that is Phillip Brooks.
Yes.
He's gone on record to say that if WWE called him, he would hear them out. Yep. Word for word, he would listen. And from a reliable source of good old Uncle Dave, Dave Meltzer, has said that Fox is interested in hiring him, and you best believe that they're going to keep adding zeros until they sign him. Because you know damn well, if there is one hot commodity in the wrestling world today, it is CM Punk.
And you want him on. Now, what's funny is during that same interview where he said he would listen, he also did, like, when you take I've had a chance to listen to the full podcast interview, and when you take it in the full context of what he said, he pretty much stated that, like, he's not truly that interested in an in-ring return. But he would be interested in working with WWE again. So this might be the best that we're going to get as far as Punk back in the WWE. But who knows? He may get out there.
I'll take it.
You know, exactly. He may get out there. He may get to talking. You know, he may get to seeing some old friends here and there and, you know, get that itch to step back between the ropes. And you know what I really hope could happen too? I really hope that we can eventually get that beautiful little package of a woman that married that man and disappeared.
Oh my God.
And get her back in the ring. Because I would love to see that. That would just make my lifetime right there. Just seeing her wrestle.
If
just
AJ Lee comes back.
Oh.
Whew.
Oh.
If not only we get CM Punk, but we get AJ Lee.
Oh.
There is a God in this world. God is real.
And he is good. And he is good.
Absolutely. No, yeah, man, that would be a dream come true to see that happen.
Now that is a dream catcher right there. That is something that's probably as far of a long shot as anything else, but it's probably as far of a long shot as CM Punk actually getting back in the ring as opposed to just being a backstage commentator on Fox. You know, but
not only that, but there's one last thing with that though.
What's that?
If you remember, about a year ago, CM Punk went on record and said that, you know, if I did return to wrestling, it would be alongside the Young Bucks and the guys in the Bullet Club or the Elite. That has come complete 180. In that same podcast, the same interview, he mentioned that, if you remember a little bit ago, AEW dropped CM Punk's name to get more PR for their event, and it worked.
Right.
But CM Punk talked about that and his how displeased he was with that. And once again, from Uncle Dave, he said that because of that, AEW indefinitely does not want him.
Does not want him because of what?
Because of that, because of his displeasure with them dropping his name.
I'm sorry. Like, let me come at this from a businessman's point of view. That's just stupid.
Essentially, yes, it is fucking childish.
You don't want to isolate yourself off from one of the hottest commodities in pro wrestling. You did use his name, and it worked to get you some publicity. So why not want to work with him further? To say that you don't want to, you no longer want to work with him is, to me, retarded. Like,
I'm a bit disappointed.
Let me give a prime example. AEW, once again, don't be Warner Brothers or DC. Please, don't be Warner Brothers or DC. And what I mean by that is, don't try so hard not to be WWE that you end up screwing your chance to really give WWE a push. You know what I'm saying? A challenge. You know, because, like, I'm sorry, if you get a chance, even Vince McMahon, like, well, I'm trying to think of Bruno Sammartino. There was a point in time in which that shit dragged on for like decades. There was a point in time in which people genuinely 100% thought there was no way in hell Bruno Sammartino would ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. There's no way that he would ever work with the WWE ever again. And it just wouldn't happen. Because Vince hated Bruno, Bruno hated Vince. Okay? Here we sit decades later, and right prior to his death, not only was he inducted into the Hall of Fame, he had a statue erected of him outside of the Full Sail Arena or Full Sail University. He's worked with WWE on multiple projects as far as like documentaries and shit like that. Vince understands. He was pretty much
built as the wrestler.
Exactly. Vince understands that when the time's right and the iron's hot, he may not be good. His writers may not be good with doing it right now. His bookers may not be good with striking out when the iron's hot right now. But Vince when it comes to publicity, knows when to strike. And he has a tendency to forgive stuff when it's advantageous for him. Take a lesson from that AEW.
And it's because at his heart, Vince McMahon is the prime example of a fucking businessman.
Mm-hmm. He understands.
And Vince has gone on record to say that if it involves patching holes with people to further his company, he'll do it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
And that to me shows that he's the smartest fucking player in the game.
After the Montreal Screwdrop, who ever thought that Bret Hart would be in the WWF again? But yeah, here we sit.
How long ago was that? I
believe the Montreal Screwdrop was 96.
Exactly. And that's still talked about today because of how they fucking worked it.
Yep.
Because Vince McMahon is a fucking player of the game and he runs this shit.
Yep. All right, man.
You don't make this staple like that for no reason.
So let's kick this off then. Talking about Dynamite. The first episode of Dynamite.
Oh yeah.
There were a million positives and I want to say almost no negatives. Like I can't, like, thinking back through watching the episode, I can't even really think of an actual solid, like, this was bad about it. Like, everything about it was good. The only thing that was confusing for me is I didn't know who the dude, what was his name? Excalibur. I don't know who he is. Like, so I was a little lost there when JR was introducing him. But good old JR, Tony Schiavone, very, very familiar voices, I'm hearing on commentary. It was just one of those type of things where I found it to be an amazing show. The match between Cody and what was that kid? Salvador. What was the kid's name? I just saw it today and I can't remember the kid's name. So was it Solomon?
I don't remember it either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes. The opening match of the card. They came out hot. Same way NXT did. They came out hot with a great match. It wasn't for a title, but it was a great way to open. And then you also open with the storyline builder. It's a match with Cody against a random dude as a storyline builder for his match with Jericho at the next pay-per-view November 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, very well done, very well booked. Even though I thought the Jericho beatdown kind of drug out and lasted a lot longer than it needed to.
Oh, small tidbit real quick.
What's that?
There's a little bit in reference to the first portion of our show. AEW partnered with DC. And
really?
They made a few little art pieces over the mainstay characters of AEW. We saw Chris Jericho and John Moxley. I saw for sure amazing art pieces on both of them.
Nice.
If you haven't seen them, look them up, check them out. They're really badass. They made a little partnership and did some artwork, and it's super fucking cool. And it only supports what the hell we're doing here.
Hell yeah. Like I said, AEW's making some smart moves. Cody Rhodes was the exact right person to be running that. I think that he has the right business mind to make sure that they give, as long as he's not doing stupid things like holding grudges. I'll say they are in line to be able to make money and be a true competition to WWE. Like I said, there is no WWE is stalwart. There is no overtaking WWE. But you can definitely give WWE a run for their money. So
exactly. I think people forget one thing about Dusty Rhodes. I think people forget that the best storylines in ECW and WCW history were pushed by Dusty Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. The man was one of the best bookers out there. Now, don't get me wrong, he had his flaws just like every other booker did, and I'm pretty sure you can find a few wrestlers that would have some bad stories about Dusty Rhodes and how Dusty booked them. But at the end of the day, ultimately, Dusty Rhodes was an amazing booker, and some of the best storylines you can remember I can guarantee you, if you find out who was backstage, it was Dusty Rhodes. Calling the shots on him, it was Dusty Rhodes. Dusty was one of the rare people to have Vince's ear, that Vince would listen to.
You can't get much more experience than someone who grew up surrounded by wrestling.
Yep.
Who better to run one of the biggest exploding promotions of this generation than someone who bleeds wrestling.
So, amen to that, sir. Amen to that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Just a small thing.
What's
just
up?
A small thing. My whole family is into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like my entire family, we consider ourselves to be a wrestling family. Like my great aunt died, and she had a John Cena action figure above her casket. It is
nice.
that deep in my family. It is that real. I pretense that only to present to you that my little brother was like, I care as much about the Bailey heel turn as much as I care about that time Vince McMahon fought God.
Dang. Wow. No love, huh?
No love.
Oh, man.
Not feeling it.
Well, and I can understand that.
I'm proud. Not because of the statement, just because he remembered that shit.
You know? Shoot, Vince McMahon fought God. Get it, son. Get it. That's a proud brother moment right there.
Absolutely.
All right, well, and let's get on with this review of Dynamite. They also crowned their first ever women's champion in what was an amazing match, but was just a strange match to me only because of the size difference between the two competitors. You had the little 98 pounds, like 99 soaking wet Rio. And then you had, what was the big girl's name? Nyla Rose. Hello? 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 John? Oops, I lost him. Let's see if we can get him back. Hello, what happened?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so
the shit itself. We're good though. We're good though. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, no, I was talking
about the two women.
I was talking about Nyla Rose and the little tiny wisp of a woman that is your new AEW World Heavyweight Women's Champion, Rio, the girl that's like 99 pounds soaking wet, carrying a 5-pound weight.
And that belt weighs more than her.
Pretty much, shoot. But she's
awesome. It was a good match, though. It was a good match.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's awesome in ring. Like I can't blame them for giving her the belt. She deserved it. She definitely deserved it.
Real good worker and wonderful David and Goliath-esque storytelling. Real classic shit.
Amen to that, sir. Amen to that.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want to move on to the few matches of Hell in a Cell we have presented?
Yeah, let's go ahead and rock those right quick. All right, so Hell in a Cell this Friday or this Sunday. I'm hoping that they add more matches on SmackDown tomorrow night, because at this point we only have 3 matches, and either these are going to be 3-hour-long matches to fill out the pay-per-view, or I think we're going to get a couple more matches in between. But those matches start with the WWE Universal Championship being defended by Seth Rollins against the Fiend Bray Wyatt in Hell in a Cell. I like the storyline. I think it's starting to run on a little too long, but I expect this to be one of the best matches of the night. I expect that Seth should walk out with the belt only because of the fact that I don't really see a reason to put the belt on the Fiend at this moment. He's still kind of ascending to his peak. But I think it'll be a hard fought match with a lot of weird stuff that goes on in it.
No, yeah, I'm fully behind the Fiend. I did not expect this gimmick to really hit its mark as well as it has.
Yeah.
Like, I adored every single second of the Firefly Funhouse, everything that they presented with that. It was, for a minute, it was honestly one of the few things that kept me watching Raw consistently. But seeing the way it was presented in full as a character, I was really hoping they wouldn't present him as, like, the Mr. Rogers legit in the wrestling thing, so I really love the idea that it's just a twisted fucking version of what he has going on there.
Yeah.
And him taking on the mandible claw is one of the smartest moves I've seen in a minute.
Very true.
But I don't think they're going to put the title on it yet.
And I think that's the best move. I truly do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think rushing it and really cutting what Seth Rollins has going on short would not be a smart move.
Because we also have what was announced on Monday Night Raw this week. We have Crown Jewel 2 happening at the end of this month. And they've already started lining up. It's going to be teams. So obviously the Universal Championship is not going to be defended at Crown Jewel. I'm assuming it's probably going to be the WWE Championship. Because the current champion, if he is still the champion, come Monday, will be involved in the Team Hogan versus Team Flair match at Crown Jewel, which will be a 5-on-5 elimination style Survivor Series style match.
Yep.
So.
And did you see everybody's posting a picture of the TNA match that happened years ago? That was Team Hogan versus Team Flair. No, that happened in Impact a long while back, so everybody's talking about how it's just this Impact match part 2.
Rehashing that match part 2. Probably.
Yeah. I'm happy for it, though, because there's not been a single time where I haven't been interested in a 5-on-5 elimination style match.
Oh, yeah, and so far the teams look savage. Now, real quick before we move on to this Women's Championship match, did you see the segment on Raw with Bobby Lashley and Lana?
Okay, look. I'm going to keep it real with you. That is one of the most disappointing things I've ever had to fucking watch.
Mm-hmm. I am not about it at all.
It was kind of funny to see fucking our Lord and Savior King Corbin and Randy Orton over on the side laughing like little schoolgirls while it happened.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
But look, man, this is the second time in a row where we've seen Lana fucking try to. No, this is the third time, technically fourth, that we've seen Lana fucking allude to having been with somebody else. It's like, look, we saw Dolph. They were alluding to the fact that The Rock banged her. Yeah. They were alluding to the fact that Aiden English had her, and now Bobby Lashley. It's like, give the man a break. This is overkill.
Well, for me, it was like
storytelling, man.
It's like, for me, it becomes brutal to watch. Like,
yeah, no,
it's like watching a train wreck.
Sad and uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, it becomes extremely uncomfortable watching a man watch his wife make out with another man. Like, that's just not comfortable. And the segment lasted way too long. Like, they were making out entirely too long. It was just y'all could have
I've heard rumblings too that I've heard rumblings that Vince McMahon personally doesn't want them together because he feels like Rusev isn't good enough. Like, he's not good looking enough to be with Lana. Which, if so, I would fucking sue.
Yeah.
Secondly, but you're right, though, it's just uncomfortable to watch when it hits that point for me, at least. Like, I'm saying this as someone who watches CAW, where they put scissors through other people's tongues. It made me cringe.
Anyway, all right, so we'll move on from that and get to this Raw Women's Championship match between the man, Becky Lynch, and the Blueprint, Sasha Banks. It's going to happen in Hell in a Cell. It's only the third ever women's Hell in a Cell match. The most recent one was Sasha Banks and wasn't it Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, right? Was the most recent one?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll let you go ahead and pick first on that one. Who you got?
Oh, Becky all the way. Not because I like Becky more and I don't like Sasha, but because I can tell that they've strapped that rocket to Becky and they're not taking that off.
I can't see. Like, what's funny is for the sake of the her and Bailey storyline, I would love to see Sasha take it, but I'm on the same mindset as you. Like, Becky hasn't cooled off enough to lose the belt yet.
I mean, they could do that, you know. They could pull a Summer of Punk and just ruin it midway through.
Yeah.
But I think with how much Vince personally has a lot of stock in Becky, I don't think that's going to happen.
Amen to that. I'm with you on that one. Becky retains. All right. Last match of the night, and then we'll wrap it up. Grudge match. Daniel Bryan, the man that didn't try to kill Roman Reigns, tagging with Roman Reigns against the guy that did try to kill Roman Reigns, Rowan, and his brother Harper. What you got for me, sir? Well, actually, you know what? I'll go first on this one. I think Bryan and Reigns are going to get that. That's why Rowan and Harper have been dominating so much over the past couple of weeks, is because Bryan and Reigns are going to get the big victory at the end of the day, that they beat up the bad guy.
Whoever takes the head on the go home show takes the win on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. The 70-30 rule is what me and Cole used to call it. If you get your ass whipped 70% of the time, you're going to get the win. Sure.
I see it. But no, and WWE often plays into the idea of like the unlikely tag team, you know?
Yeah.
Edge and Hulk Hogan were tag team champions.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels and The Miz. I mean, Shawn Michaels and John Cena were tag champs in the middle of their feud. The same with Miz and John Cena. They pull that trick a lot, even if it is very fucking entertaining. I'll give them that.
Wouldn't this, if Daniel Bryan won the tag team championships with Roman Reigns, like I said, they did work that storyline, that would be his third different partner, wouldn't it? His third different partner that he won the championship with, because Team Hell No, and then Rowan, and now Roman Reigns. Or not Roman Reigns. Yeah, now Roman Reigns. That'd be interesting.
That is the least cast of characters nobody fucking expected.
Yep. No shit. That would definitely fall into the nobody expected. All right, brother. Give us your wrestler of the week there.
I look back and I like to give a lot of variety in the wrestlers I present. You know, I don't want to present the same set of people.
Yeah.
And personally, I nothing against them. I'm usually not too big of a fan of women's wrestling. Like I said, it is not that it's women; it's that it's a different style. But personally, if you're looking for some of my style of women's wrestling, go look at Shimmer and Stardom. Okay. You're gonna see some hard hitting shit. And I do like women's wrestling, so I wanted to present my wrestler of the week in the form of Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley.
Yes. I don't see a lot of females who have a really standout gimmick. And she, for me, is that. Her gimmick is that she's just a badass headbanger. And you already got me there. I'm a big goth white guy. You already got me with that. But Rhea Ripley is a really fucking amazing style, in my opinion. Her moveset is not something that you see very often either. Because she is a lot bigger than most women on any roster you're going to be looking at. She plays into that very well. If you remember a long time ago, Brock Lesnar had what he called the Brock Lock.
Yeah.
Where he would hang them off his neck and they would stretch down and it was all types of nasty looking. She has something sort of like that, except she hangs them by both legs.
Good Lord.
It's a really weird looking thing, but you know, I would not want to be putting it at fucking all. She has a really cool moveset, blocking out things like that, and then a pump handle bomb called the Riptide, which always looks like she's trying to fucking break someone's ribcage. She always played up to be the badass that she is. She spent a really long time in RCW, which is Riot City Wrestling, before she went to NXT UK, where she is now in the mainline NXT. She had a little face-off with Shayna Baszler last week or the week before. which I fucking screamed because I've been waiting so long for this. She was the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion as well. Really, just a really, really good repertoire in my opinion. Really amazing moveset, and I feel like we're in an era where it's hard for a female wrestler to really stand out amongst the many that are really exploding onto the scene. Rhea Ripley has made a lane for herself of being the baddest woman did.
Nice.
Check her out. Rhea Ripley gets this week's Alpha seal of approval.
There you go. Stamp. Bam. We're gonna have to get some stamp. We're gonna have to get a stamp sound effect. So whenever we put our stamp of approval, you just ka-chunk. Yeah, I'll have to look for that this week. So all right, guys, that's gonna do it for us for tonight. We will be recording again on Monday, reviewing the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So join us then. Tomorrow night, join me, K Double K, for Double K's Classroom, where I'm going to talk some sports. We believe I'm going to be talking to MLB playoffs, the wild card games, etc. That's going to be on at 8 tomorrow night. And then Saturday, Mr. Deacon should be on. Sunday, we will have Brick and Lip Gloss and Mike's. MVT, West Coast Bias has the week off this week. And like I said, we're not going to be on Sunday. We'll be on Monday, and then hopefully back to Sundays on our regular schedule the week after that. So y'all keep listening in. We got a big variety of shows, and we're only getting started here at the Cheap Pop Podcast. So check y'all out next week or in a few days. Heck yeah. Peace.